Hello, my name is Tim Harkness. I'm a sports psychologist. I work in elite sport in London, but I'm here running a series of workshops in Hong Kong. And the third in the series is called Motivation by Design, and it's strategies for motivating yourself and other people. This program is for people who want to get better at getting things done. We often think that most of motivation and behavior is determined by intent and personality, what we want and who we are. But in fact, up to 75% of behavior is explained by circumstance, the culture, the incentives, the norms and the reminders that surround us. This explains why it is often so difficult to change, because while our wishes may change, our personality and our circumstances often do not. This workshop explains 2 steps that show how we can become more successful at changing our own behavior and that of others. The first step is SMART goals, which you've probably come across before, but it's such a simple and yet profound way of understanding how to go about pursuing a goal that it's worth doing again. SMART goals stand for making a goal specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, which is one of the most crucial issues, that a goal has to be relevant to our well-being, but the sub-goal has to be relevant to the overall outcome. And finally, time-bound, that we need to have some sort of time frame in which we want to achieve the goal. That's a SMART goal, and it's really important for improving your chances of success. But just as important is the second strategy, which is less known. This is called mind space, and it's a way of designing your circumstances and your incentives that's used by the British government in policy. And mind space stands for, first of all, the M stands for the messenger, because we're heavily influenced by who communicates information to us. The I is for incentive. Our responses to incentives are shaped by mental shortcuts. We want things like autonomy. We want to be free to make our own decisions. We want to master skills, and we want to be able to see the purpose in what we do. We also want to avoid loss. Those are incentives to us. Norms, we're strongly influenced by what other people do. In the elite sports environment where I work in London, some quite extreme behaviors can start to feel normal. And that's key to getting people to be really good at something, is making them see those extreme behaviors as normal. Then the D of mind space is defaults. We tend to go with the flow quite a lot. So if we have standing arrangements, if we have something in the diary, if we have an obligation to somebody else, just becomes a default, and we tend to do those things more often. It's easier to opt in rather than opt out. Salience is when we really start to notice something. Often we can go through life and we're not particularly tuned in to important cues or important reminders. Salience is when we start to make things novel or relevant to ourselves. Then we've got priming, and our behavior is influenced more than we think by subconscious cues. And in today's electronic world, there's such good ways of priming ourselves. We can change screensavers, we can change desktops, we can change passwords that we have to key in multiple times a day to prime ourselves to behave in a certain way or think in a certain way. We've got affect, which is changing our emotional responses to circumstance. And we know from CBT, the CBT tradition, that we can reinterpret our responses to particular situations and actually change our emotional response. Then we've got commitments. We really are much more likely to fulfill a behavior when we've made a public commitment or a commitment to somebody else that we're going to do it. You're much more likely to go to the gym, for example, if you've told a friend that you're going to meet them there. And finally, we've got ego. And that is that we tend to act in ways that make us feel better about ourselves. We want to confirm our values, we want to confirm our identity, we want to feel that we belong to something. And when we behave in ways that are consistent with those, it feeds our ego, makes us more likely to pursue those, make those lasting behaviors. So that's the Motivation by Design workshop, is teaching 2 particular skills to help you make lasting changes in your own behavior and somebody else's behavior. SMART goals and designing your circumstance by using mind space.